So here's the text. Here's the thing we're gonna read. I'm gonna read the entire thing. Not entire thing. Shush. Okay. So I'm gonna read the entire thing, including the foreword, which is not actually part of the text, but I'm gonna read it anyway. So, I'm just gonna start doing it. If people join in, that would be nice. I haven't read it before. I don't know what to expect. Yes, you did it right. You did it completely right. Okay, so I have my water ready. Mic quality should be good. I didn't change anything really. So.
Boo, boo.
Why is it doubling? Why the fuck is it doubling? That is so strange. I don't know why it's doubling. It shouldn't double. That's so weird. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So, I'm just gonna keep going. We officially begin now. Foxacre Press, more or less, proudly presents the somewhat official competitive reading edition of The Eye of Argon by Jim Theis, being possibly the worst story ever written. Price free. But if you wish, you can spend lots of money on multiple copies of Foxacre Press's Scholar's ebook edition of The Eye of Argon, featuring One Fine Day in the Stygian Haunts of Hell, being the lore and legend of the fabled Eye of Argon by Daryl Schweitzer and In Search of Jim Theis by Lee Weinstein, plus a sincere apology from the publisher himself, available wherever fine and not so fine ebooks are sold. Where is my femininity identifying male? This stream is gonna be fucking wild, I can already see. Also high dosing. Every time you laugh, you drink? What do you mean I can't fuck the mute? Wait, every time you laugh, is that like for me or for you? I don't have any alcohol with me. Nor do I want to in particular. I don't think I even have a single bottle of beer at home. Okay. Please don't. You don't want to see me drunk. I don't want to see myself drunk. No beer, no beer. Let me check. I don't think I have any beer at home. Let me check. I'm not even sure at this point. Phantom. Look what I got. A Krušovice. One can of Krušovice. There's like no more. There's nothing else. It's just this one can. So I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna at least drink that. That much I can do. It's for special delivery. I do have the cup. So currently it's filled with just water. So we need to deal with this water first, and then we'll go onto the beer. So a care package. All right, okay. So the somewhat official competitive reading edition of The Eye of Argon by Jim Theis. I would definitely go for some cider, by the way. I don't mind cider at all. I hate beer, but I don't mind cider. Cider's pretty cool. I have never tried absinthe, nor do I really intend to. But okay. Why are you sending me messages now? You needed to reply before. Okay. You're not an alcoholic, shut up. Okay. This version of the Eye of Argon duplicates, to as far as is practicable, and perhaps to something beyond that point, the precise layout of the original as published on pages 27 to 49 of Osfan 10, the August 21st, 1970 edition of the monthly publication of the Ozark Science Fiction Association. While it is entirely possible that I have not achieved perfection, my goal was to create a version that presented, word for word, line for line, page for page, the exact contents of the semi-mythical original. I have sought to include every misplaced hyphen, every scratched-out error, and every crudely scrawled drawing. I have set the text in a typewriter font that bears a close family resemblance to the original. I have, within limits and with some effort at judgment calls, faded out the words and letters that are faintest in the original. I have inserted flying caps, squeezed in letters, and other artifacts of the original. I have not attempted to position the page elements exactly as they were on the original pages, but instead have sought to place them correctly, relative to each other. My intent was to provide a standardized text suitable for competitive readings of the text. Using this somewhat official competitive reading text, readers around the world will face the same challenges as each other, and as the readers of the original fanzine. I have gone easy on modern readers in one respect. I have not attempted to reproduce the colors of the paper onto which the original was printed. Likely this varied from one copy of the fanzine to the next, in any event, and as this edition is intended to be printed out, I didn't see any reason to waste endless amounts of everybody's ink. Besides, I'm colorblind, and my idea of what the colors are is unlikely to match anyone else's, and the colors have likely faded and shifted over time anyway. However, for the truly compulsive out there who have stocks of colored paper at hand, here, as best as I can tell, are the page colors. The fanzine was printed double-sized, so each pair of pages was front and back on one sheet of paper. I am indebted to my wife for the female names of the colors. She informs me the colors were too dull to merit high-class names like Taupe or Ekru. I'm not going to read the entire table, though. I don't think we need to do that. And yes, this is going to be saved on Ubito. Yes, it is. I do like the colorblind male color description that is brighter yellowish brown, mottled lightish blue, and seasick pink, and malevolent orange. Malevolent orange is pretty fucking good. Read the entire table? Oh my god. Fine. Pages 27 to 28. Colorblind male color description. Sickly greenish yellow. Female color name. Light yellow. 29 to 30. Brighter yellowish brown. Dark yellow. 31 to 32. Grayish white. White. 33 to 34. Mottled lightish blue. Blue. 35 to 36. Sickly greenish yellow. Light yellow. 37 to 38. Grayish white. White. 39 to 40, light sickly green, very light blue. 41 to 42, seasick pink, purple. 43 to 44, greyish white, white. 45 to 46, malevolent orange, orange. 47 to 48, light sickly green, light blue. 49, greyish white, white. Hello, Sunken. How are you this fine evening? I laughed. Drink? Okay, fine. I'm drinking water first. One sip. The newest game from Quantic Drinks. Fuck, I laughed again. Shit. Okay. Yes, we're doing great. As you can see, we barely even started, and already people are getting drunk. So I guess that's good. All right. I need to be serious. As soon as I laugh, I need to drink. So I'm not gonna... I need to be, completely... Okay. The following text is based directly upon the digital version of the Eye of Argon found at this link, but was compared against the digital text at Dave Langford's website, ansible.co.uk. Multiple corrections were made based on a close examination of the scanned pages found at ansible.co.uk. The illustrations are likewise lifted from Ansible. Given the many eyes that have scanned the Eye of Argon over the years, I was startled to discover a number of new and hitherto unrecorded errors in the text, which I have included. I have likewise excised a number of introduced or false errors which had crept into the digital text. I hasten to add that I make no claims that this is a 100% perfect rendition of the text. Likely there are more errors lurking. If you spot one, drop me a line at argon@foxacre.com. I will keep a log of errors and corrections there as well. Given the amazingly low quality of both the text and the typing, I should not have been surprised that unknown flaws were there, still waiting to be unearthed. But there is more to it than that. Over and over again, I found myself unable to judge for certain what the proper reading of a mistyped word or phrase should be. I have made the fairest interpretations I can, but in many cases it seems likely there will never be a final, definitive reading of a given passage. Readers who want to know more about how this amazing story came to be can purchase the Scholar's ebook edition of The Eye of Argon, available for the Kindle, the iPad, and many other ebook formats. Visit foxacre.com/argon for more information. Free advertising, by the way. Yes, I agree. The first page is definitely better than Kentucky Road. 100%. 200%. Now, we go to the rules. How to play the game, more or less. The rules are simple, but are subject to change without notice, rhyme, or reason. The readers gather. One player is designated the proofreader. One proofreader may serve for the entire game, but it is more fun if everyone takes turns at this job. There should be at least 2 identical copies of the text, one for the person reading out loud, and one for the proofreader, who reads along silently. Each player, in turn, reads the text aloud, precisely as written, and continues reading until he or she veers from the text, or bursts out laughing. The ruling of the proofreader is final, subject to being shouted down by the group. When the text contains a typographical error, that is, swivelled instead of swiveled, the reader must read the word as written, not the correct word. In the case of a word that cannot be pronounced or has no self-evident pronunciation under the usual rules of English, a good faith effort will be accepted. The group may elect to let a given reader keep going until the proofreader rules he or she has made an error or laughs, or until a full page has been read. It is generally considered more fun to encourage dramatic readings, or even reenactments, and not to worry about utter precision at all times. No score is kept. There are no winners. The convention is that Grignr is pronounced Grignr. Roger McBride Allen, Valentine's Day 2011, somewhere in Mexico City. You definitely need to listen to this, Almeida. Don't worry, this will be saved. This will absolutely be saved. So you can watch this later, on your own time, alone in bed even, if you so choose. I won't judge. Okay, so that was the foreword. And now we have the actual thing. Are we ready for this? Because I'm not. Okay. I'm gonna be super serial about this. So, no laughs. This is a no laugh game. Almeida. I'll count that as a laugh, though. Don't make me giggle. All right. The Eye of Argon by Jim Thice. The weather-beaten trail wound ahead into the dust-racked climes of the barren land which dominates large portions of the Norgolian Empire. Age-worn hoofprints smothered by the sifting sands of time shone dully against the dust-splattered crust of earth. The tireless sun, cast its parching rays of incandescence from overhead, halfway through its daily revolution. Small rodents scampered about, occupying themselves in the daily accomplishments of their dismal lives. Dust sprayed over 3 heaving mounts in blinding clouds, while they bore the burdensome cargoes of their struggling overseers. "Prepare to embrace your creators into Stygian haunts of hell, barbarian," gasped the first soldier. "Only after you have kissed the fleeting stead of death, wretch," returned Grignr. A sweeping blade of flashing steel riveted from the massive barbarian's hide-enameled shield as his rippling right arm thrust forth, sending a steel-shod blade to the hilt into the soldier's vital organs. The disemboweled mercenary crumpled from his saddle and sank to the clouded sward, sprinkling the parched dust with crimson droplets of escaping life fluid. The enthused barbarian swiveled about, his shock of fiery red hair tossing robustly in the humid air currents as he faced the attack of the defeated soldier's fellow in arms. "Damn you, barbarian!" shrieked the soldier as he observed his comrade in death. A gleaming scimitar smote a heavy blow against the renegade's spiked helmet, bringing a heavy cloud over the accordion's misting brain. Shaking off the effects of the pounding blow to his head, Grignr brought down his scarlet-streaked edge against the soldier's crudely forged hauberk, clanging harmlessly to the left side of his opponent. The soldier's steed whinnied as he directed the horse back from the driving blade of the barbarian. Grignr leashed his mount forward as the hoarsely piercing battle cry of his wilderness-bred race resounded from his grinding lungs. That's a sentence. A twirling blade bounced harmlessly from the mighty thief's buckler as his rolling right arm cleft upward, sending a foot of blinding steel ripping through the Cimmerian's exposed gullet. A gasping gurgle from the soldier's writhing mouth as he tumbled to the golden sand at his feet and wormed agonizingly in his deathbed. God, this really is bad. Grignr's emerald green orbs glared lustfully at the wallowing soldier struggling before his chestnut-swirled mount. What? His scowling voice reverberated over the dying form in a tone of mocking mirth. "You city-bred dogs should learn not to antagonize your better." Reining his weary mount ahead, Grignr resumed his journey to the Norregolian city of Gorzem, hoping to discover wine, women, and adventure to boil the wild blood coursing through his savage veins. The trek to Gorzem was forced upon Grignr when the soldiers of Kryn were leashed upon him by a faithless concubine he had wooed. His scandalous activities throughout the Cimmerian city had unleashed throngs of havoc and uproar among its refined patricians, leading them to tack a heavy reward over his head. He had barely managed to escape through the back entrance of the inn he had been guzzling in as a squad of soldiers pounced upon him. What the fuck is pounced? After spilling a spout of blood from the leader of the mercenaries as he dismembered one of the officer's arms, he retreated to his mount to make his way towards Gorzem, rumored to contain hordes of plunder and many young wenches for any man who has the backbone to wrest them away. That was chapter 1. That was really bad. Okay. Chapter 2. I haven't laughed yet, though. I'm doing well. Arriving after dusk in Gorzem, Grignr descended down a dismal alley, reining his horse before a beaten tavern. The red-haired giant strode into the dimly lit hostelry, reeking of foul odors and cheap wine. The air was heavy with choking fumes spewing from smoldering torches encased within Deaden's earthen-packed walls. Tables were clustered with groups of drunken thieves and cutthroats, tossing dice or making love to willing prostitutes. Eyeing a slender female crouched alone at a nearby bench, Grignr advanced wishing to wholesomely occupy his time. wholesomely occupy his time. The flickering torches cast weird shafts of luminescence, dancing over the half-naked harlot of his choice, her stringy orchid twines of hair swaying gracefully over the lithe, opaque nose. Nose? Why did I read nose? As she raised a half-drained mug to her pale red lips. Glancing upward, the alluring complexion noted the stalwart giant as he rapidly approached. Jesus, that's a bad sentence. A faint glimmer sparked from the pair of deep blue ovals of the amorous female as she motioned toward Grignr, enticing him to join her. The barbarian seated himself upon a stool at the wench's side, exposing his body, na-ed save for a loincloth brandishing a long steel broadsword, an iron-spiraled battle helmet, and a thick leather sandals to her unobstructed view. Thou hast need to occupy your time, barbarian? Questioned the female. Question the female? Question mark? Only if something worth offering is within my reach, stated Grignr as his hands crept to embrace the tempting female, who welcomed them with open willingness. Who welcomed them with open willingness? God, that's bad. Okay. From where do you come, barbarian, and by what are you called? Gasped the complying wench, as Grignr smothered her lips with the blazing touch of his flaming mouth. The engrossed titan ignored the queries of the inquisitive female, pulling her towards him and crushing her sagging nipples to his yearning chest. Without struggle, she gave in, winding her soft arms around the harshly bronzed hide of Grignr-corded shoulder blades as his calloused hands caressed her firm, protruding busts. You make love well, wench, admitted Grignr, as he reached for the vessel of potent wine his charge had been quaffing. A flying foot caught the mug Grignr had taken hold of, sending its blood-red contents sloshing over a flickering crescent, leashing tongues of bright orange flame to the foot-trodden floor. God, he loves to be purple. Okay. Remove yourself, sirrah. The wench belongs to me, blabbered a drunken soldier, too far consumed by the influences of his virile brew to take note of the superior size of his adversary. Grignr lithely bounded from the startled female, his face lit up to an ashen-red ferocity, and eyes locked in a searing feral blaze toward the swaying soldier. To hell with you, braggart! Bill bellowed the angered accordion as he hefted his finely honed broadsword. The staggering soldier clumsily reached towards the pommel of his dangling sword, but before his hands ever touched the oaken hilt, a silvered flash was slicing the heavy air. The thews of the savage's lashing right arm bulged from the glistening bronzed hide as his blade bit deeply into the soldier's neck, loping off the confused head of his senseless tormentor. That is strangely sexual. Okay. With a nauseating thud, the severed oval toppled to the floor as the segregated torso of Grignr's bovine antagonist swayed, then collapsed in a pool of swirled crimson. In the confusion, the soldier's fellows confronted Grignr with unsheathed cutlasses, directed toward the latter's scowling makeup. Wait, what? Wait. The soldier's fellows confronted Grignr with unsheathed cutlasses, directed towards the latter's scowling makeup. Scowling makeup? Did he want to write, like, his face? As in makeup? Why? Okay. Alright. Yes, I'm definitely too smart to celebrate the triumphs of the Hrvatska nogometna reprezentacija. Absolutely. Alright. The slut should have picked his quarry more carefully, roared the victor in a mocking baritone growl as he wiped his dripping blade on the prostrate form and returned it to its scabbard. The fool should have shown more prudence. However, you shall rue your actions while rotting in the pits, stated one of the sprawled soldier's comrades. Grignr's hand began to remove his blade from its leather housing, but retarded the motion in face of the blades waving before his face. Why would you retard the motion? Why would you say that? That is not how you use that word. Okay. Dismiss your hand from the hilt, barbarian, or you shall find a foot of steel sheathed in your gizzard. Grignr weighed his position, observing his plight, whereupon he took the soldier's advice as the only logical choice. To attempt to hack his way from his present predicament could only warrant certain death. He was of no mind to bring upon his own demise if an alternate path presented itself. The will to necessitate his life forced him to yield to the superior force in hopes of a moment of carelessness later upon the part of his captors in which he could effect a more plausible means of escape. You may steady your arms. I will go without a struggle. Your decision is a wise one, yet perhaps you would have been better off had you forced death. The soldier's mouth wrinkled to a sadistic grin of knowing mirth as he prodded his prisoner on with his sword point. Again, that is very sexual. Me Karvati, whoa, me Karvati, whoa, me Karvati. Why did you make me do that? Now I need to fucking drink. Fuck off. This is supposed to make me laugh, not you. Fuck. Okay. Again. Let's move on. Don't do that. Nobody around you deserves to that chant. Don't do that. Okay. After an indiscriminate period of marching through slinking alleyways and dim moonlighted streets, the procession confronted the massive seraglio. The what? The palace area was surrounded by an iron grating with a lush garden upon all sides. Me Karvati, whoa, me Karvati. Fuck! Shit! I mean, it sounds like the sword point was lubed. It certainly sounds like that. The group was admitted through the gilded gateway, and Grignr was led along a stone pathway bordered by plush vegetation, lustfully enhanced by the moon's shimmering rays. Why would you say that the plush vegetation was lustfully enhanced by the moon's shimmering rays? That is not funny. That is infuriating. That is so bad. Okay. Upon reaching the palace, the group was granted entrance, and after several minutes of explanation, led through several winding corridors to a richly draped chamber. This? Ah, okay. I'm applying a very special oil to my shining steel sword with which I shall penetrate you. Exactly. That sentence sounds way better than anything we've read here so far. I'm not going to waste this perfectly fine glass of water. I'm not going to waste it. When we finish this glass of water, I will toss in the beer. So, deal with it. Confronting the group was a short, stocky man seated upon a golden throne. Tapestries of richly draped regal blue silk covered all walls of the chamber, while the steps leading to the throne were plated with sparkling white ivory. The man upon the throne had a naked wench seated at each of his arms, and the trusted advisor seated in back of him. At each corner of the chamber, a guard stood at attention, with upraised pikes supported in their hands, golden chainmail adorning their torsos, and barred helmets emitting scarlet plumes enshrouding their heads. That is a fucking sentence, holy shit. The man rose from his throne to the dais surrounding it. Dais? Dais. The fuck is supposed to be a dais? His plush turquoise robe dangled loosely from his chunky frame. Oh, he's a big chungus. The soldiers surrounding Grignr fell to their knees with heads bowed to the stone masonry of the floor in fearful dignity to their sovereign liege. To their sovereign, liege. Okay. Explain the purpose of this intrusion upon my chateau. Your serenity, resplendent in noble grandeur, we have brought this yokel before you, the soldier gestured toward Grignr, for the redress of your all-knowing wisdom and judgment regarding his fate. Okay. Fuck.
Neka patiko ga smeta, Hrvatska je prvak svijeta. Neka samo suzerone, mi imamo šampione.
Yeah, I hate saying that. I hate saying that so bad. Oh my god. That's so bad. Okay. Down on your knees, lout, and pay proper homage to your sovereign, commanded the pudgy noble of Grignr. By the surly beard of Mrifk, Grignr kneels to no man, scowled the massive barbarian. You dare to deal this blasphemous act to me? You are indeed brave, stranger, yet your valor smacks of foolishness. I find you to be the only fool, sitting upon your pompous throne, enhancing the rolling flabs of your belly in the midst of your elaborate luxury and... The soldier standing at Grignr's side smote him heavily in the face with the flat of his sword, cutting short the harsh words and knocking his battered helmet to the masonry with an echoing clang. You might have a point, dozing. The paunchy noble's sagging round face flushed suddenly pale, then pastily lit up to a lustrous cherry-red radiance. His lips trembled with malicious rage while emitting a muffled, sibilant gibberish. A muffled, sibilant gibber... His sagging flabs rolled like a tub of upset jelly, then compressed as he sucked in his gut in an attempt to conceal his softness. Why does this sound like some kind of weird erotic thing? Why? Why would you do this? This is wrong. This is very wrong. This is really bad. Bad. Okay. The prince regained his statue, then spoke to the soldiers surrounding Grignr, his face conforming to an ugly expression of sadistic humor. Take this uncouth heathen to the vault of misery, and be sure that his agonies are long and drawn out before death can release him. As you wish, sire. Your command shall be heeded immediately, answered the soldier on the right of Grignr as he stared into the barbarian's seemingly unaffected face. The advisor seated in the back of the noble slowly rose and advanced to the side of his master, motioning the wenches seated at his sides to remove themselves. He lowered his head and whispered to the noble. Eminence, the punishment you have decreed will cause much misery to this scum, yet it will last only a short time. Then release him to a land beyond the sufferings of the human body. Why not mellow him in one of the subterranean vaults for a few days, then send him to life labor in one of your buried mines? To one such as he, a life spent in the confinement of the Stygian pits will be an infinitely more appropriate and lasting torture. The noble cupped his drooping double chin in the folds of his briming palm, meditating for a moment upon the rationality of the councillor's words, then raised his shaggy brown eyebrows and turned toward the advisor, eyes aglow. As always, Agathand, you speak with great wisdom. Your words ring of great knowledge concerning the nature of one such as he, saith the king. The noble turned toward the prisoner with a noticeable shimmer reflecting in his frog-like eyes, and his lips contorting to a greasy grin. I have decided to void my previous decree. The prisoner shall be removed to one of the palace's underground vaults. There he shall stay until I have decided that he has sufficiently simmered, whereupon he is to be allowed to spend the remainder of his days at labor in one of my mines. Ooh, okay. Another read something? Wait. Is this meant to be a song? I don't know this song, thankfully, but I'm gonna give it my go.
I danas pamtim oca, davno je to bilo, kad me na stadionu stavio u krilo. Tamo prvi put čuo sam, volim te Hrvatsko, na pitanje ovo, od tada odgovor znam.
I have no idea what that one is.
Malo nas je, al nas ima, nije važno, srušit ćemo snove svima.
Fuck! Why is that making me laugh? Fuck! Shit! Crap! Okay. I am definitely too smart for patriotism. Also, by the way, surprisingly enough, there are no boomers tonight at home. So I'm completely alone for now, and I'm hoping that stays for the rest of the stream. That'll be very fucking nice. So. Okay. Where did I stop? Upon hearing this, Grignr realized that his fate would be far less merciful than death to one such as he, who is used to roaming the countryside at will. A life of confinement would be more than his body and mind could stand up to. This type of life would be immeasurably worse than death. I shall never understand the ways of your twisted civilization. I simply defend my honor and am condemned to life confinement by a pig who sits on his royal ass, wooing whores, and knows nothing of the affairs of the land he imagines to rule. Lectures Grignr. Enough of this! Away with the slut before I lose my control! Seeing the peril of his position, Grignr searched for an opening. Crushing prudence to the sword, he plowed into the soldier at his left arm, taking hold of his sword and bounding to the dais supporting the prince before the startled guards could regain their composure. Agafund leaped Grignr and his sire, but found a sword blade permeating the length of his ribs before he could loosen his weapon. That's a mess. That's a fucking mess. That entire paragraph is a mess. I don't have a fanboy at my side. I mean, you're welcome to join me at any time, White Glove. I know you want to. Don't even pretend.
U srcu je nosim, di god da idem, uzdignute glave, ponosno da vide. Prek visokih gora i dalekih mora, kod crte na licu didovih bora. Pobjeda, borba, veselja, nacija, volim te jako, moja Kroacija.
Where the hell are you getting these? I've never heard these. I mean, obviously I haven't heard about them if they're like footballs. Shit. So, all right. If this is what a fate character is, then yikes. Okay. The counselor slumped to his knees as Grignr slid his crimsoned blade from Agafund's ribcage. The fat prince stood undulating in insurmountable fear before the edge of the fiery-maned comet, his flabs of jellied blubber pulsating to and fro in ripples of flowing terror. The hell is that?
Bogi Hrvati, domovina, čast, neponovljiv flow koji trka bas. Mi smo Hrvati, potražite spas. Valovi tribin, promuknuti glas. Borbena formacija, kamikaze gas. Razigravanje akcija, brzi precizni pas. Mi smo prvaci, kucamo je čas.
The fuck is that? I've never heard that. Jesus Christ. Okay. Where is your wisdom and power now, your majesty? I need to do that again. Where is your wisdom and power now, your majesty? Growled Grignr. The prince went rigid as Grignr discerned him glazing over his shoulder. He swilved. He swillived. He swillived to note the cause of the noble's attention, raised his sword over his head, and prepared to leash a vicious downward cleft, but fell short as the haft of a steel-rimed pike clashed against his unguarded skull. What the fuck is this sentence? Okay, then blackness and solitude, silence enshrouding, and ever peaceful reigned supreme. Before me, Sirrah, before me as always. Nobly cackled. Who cackled? The prince? Was that his dying word? What? Okay. No, I'm... Fuck. I don't know the songs. I don't. God damn it. Okay. Chapter 3. Consciousness returned to Grignr in stigmatic pools as his mind gradually cleared of the cobwebs cluttering its inner recesses. Yet the Stygian cloud of charcoal ebony remained, an incompatible shield of blackness enhanced by the bleak absence of sound. Fuck me! Shit! Why the fuck did absence make me laugh? God damn it! How big is this? I feel like it's just gonna get worse as time goes on. Okay. Grignr's muddled brain reeled from the shock of the blow he had received to the base of his skull. The events leading to his predicament were slow to filter back to him. He dickered with the notion... Fuck. Fuck. Oh no.
Na polju du, sa one strane Marjana, navijamo za Hajduka. Ako ne postaneš novi prvak, ti Torcida će žaliti. Oprostit ćemo ti, jer ipak znamo svi da najbolji si ti i nikad ti nećemo okrenut leđa mi. O hajduće, dica su tvoja uvijek uz tebe. Prvaci smo, navijamo, za bile uvijek pivamo. Ale. Jebemo Tuđmana i Banske dvore, jer mi smo Splićani, imamo more, imamo Gorana, imamo tenis, u nas je kurac, u vas je penis.
That is so dumb. Also, I think this is going extremely bad because even the music is refusing to cooperate. I'm sure you notice that the music has been not working properly. Let's switch to. I don't know. Let's switch to. Ooh. FF12. That sounds good. Okay. Is that too loud? Let me see. It shouldn't be. Blah 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 testing. Okay, it's good. Okay. Serbian cheeses. Okay. Please don't. Where did I stop? Yes, I stopped at Dickard. Okay. So here. Okay. He dickered with the notion that he was dead and had descended or sunk, however it may be, to the shadowed land beyond the aperture of the grave, but rejected this hypothesis when his memory sifted back within his grips. This was not the land of the dead. It was something infinitely more the precarious than anything the grave could offer. Death promised an infinity of peace, not the finite misery of an inactive life of confined torture, forever concealed from the life-bearing shafts of the beloved rising sun. The orb that had been before taken for granted, yet now cherished above all else. To be forever refused further glimpses of the snow-capped summits of the land of his birth, never again to witness the thrill of plundering unexplored lands beyond the crest of a bleeding horizon, and perhaps worst of all, the denial to ever again encompass the lustful excitement of caressing the naked curves of the body of a trim, yound wench. That is a fucking sentence. Holy fuck. Okay. Oh.
Naprijed plavi, pjesma se ori, bodri vas cijeli stadion. Tisuće srca sad za vas kuca jer Dinamo je šampion. Ale, 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 ale. Rođen sam na sjeveru, slušajte me svi, volim tebe Dinamo, život si mi ti. Tu će nas policija ko šugave pse, al za tebe Dinamo preboljet će sve. Dinamo, Dinamo, znaj da mi te volimo, mi smo uz tebe, mi smo uz tebe, znaj da nema predaje, vjeruj nema života bez Dinama, da bi milijarda dolara za 1 sekund Dinamovog sjevera. Jednom kada ostareni zadnji put te pozdravim, umrijeću ti ja, a ti nikada, to već svako zna. Tu na tvome sjeveru, odakle te bodrinja, neka nova čelica, stajat iste želje imat, volim te hajduće.
God, I hate them. I'm not gonna fucking laugh at that. Okay. This was indeed one of the buried chasms of hell concealed within the inner depths of the palace's despised interior. A fearful ebony chamber devised to drive to the brinks of insanity the minds of the unfortunately condemned, through the inapt solitude of a limbo of listless, dreary silence. That was chapter 3, and now we have chapter 3.5. Because reasons. Was that meant to be an internal monologue? Was that meant to show how Grignr thinks? AKA that he doesn't think? Alright. Hey Maxus, how you doing? I hope, just stay a while and listen. Okay. A tightly wrung elliptical circle of torches cast their wavering shafts prancing morbidly over the smooth surface of a rectangular, rigid altar. Okay. Expertly chiseled forms of grotesque gargoyles graced the oblique rim, protuberate the length of the grim orifice of death, staring forever ahead into nothingness in complete ignorance of the bloody rites enacted in their presence. Presence. That would be presence. Okay. Are we going to kill Diablo again? You know, with the way we're going, I'm not sure. Maybe. Hajduk, na 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 na. 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 Hajduk, 15. studenog, sjebali smo Dinamo, srušili smo Zagreb grad, isti je ko Beograd. Maxus, they're posting football chants and I'm supposed to read them, like football chants, and I hate them, but this stream is wild anyway, so like I'm doing it anyway. All right.
Imamo sifilis, imamo sidu, imamo triper, imamo gripu, i nek smo pijani, i nek smo ludi, mi smo torcida sa poljuda. Amsterdamske kurve plaću za Hajduka, život daću, a ova ekipa ovako luda, ova ekipa ide svuda do finala i Pariza, pušit će nam Mona Lisa.
Who makes these? Who makes these? Why? This is so bad. These cheers are somehow worse than this fucking story. Why would you do that? Good lord. Okay. Oh. Oh. All right. Where did I stop? Okay. Brown flaking stains decorated the golden surface of the ridge surrounding the altar, which banked to a small slit at the lower right-hand corner of the altar. The slit stood above a crudely pounded pail which had several silver-meshed chalices hanging at its sides. Dangling at the rim of golden mallet, the handle of which was engraved with images of twisted faces and groved at its far end with slots designed for a snug hand grip. The head of the mallet was slightly larger than a clenched fist and shaped into a smooth oval mass. Encircling the marble altar was a congregation of leering shaman, eerie chants of a bygone age, originating unknown eons before the memory of man, were being uttered from the buried recesses of the acolytes' deep lings. Orange paint was smeared in generous globules over the tops of priests' wrinkled shaven scalps, while golden rings projected from the lobes of their pink ears. Ornate robes of lusher purple satin enclosed their bulging torsos, attached around their waists with silvered silk lashes, latched with ebony buckles in the shape of morose, misshaped skulls. Christ, that is a sentence. Holy shit. Dangling around their necks were oval-fashioned medallions held by thin gold chains, featuring in their centers blood-red rubies which resembled crimson fetish eyeballs. Cushioning their bare feet were plush red felt slippers with pointed golden spikes projecting from their tips. I would have laughed at that dozing, but I stopped. Situated in front of the altar and directly adjacent to the copper pail was a massive jade idol, a misshaped, hideous bust of the shaman's pagan deity. The shimmering green idol was placed in a sitting posture on an ornately carved golden throne, raised upon a round, devory-plated dais. What the fuck is a dais? It bulging arms and webbed like coils hanging over its oblong ears, which tapered off to thin hollow points. Its nose was a bulging triangular mass, sunken in at its sides with toe-gaping nostrils. Toe-gaping nostrils. Fuck, I laughed. Shit. Fuck. Dramatic beneath the nostrils was a twisted, shaggy-lipped mouth, giving the impression of a slobbering, sadistic grimace. Slovering, sadistic grimace. Grimace. Okay. I can't even read anymore. Diaz is a seat of authority? I mean, okay, Diaz as in God. Dia, okay. Sure. I guess. I've never heard it being used though, but alright. At the foot of the heathen deity, a slender, pale-faced female, naked but for a golden, jeweled harness enshrouding her huge, outcropping breasts, supporting long silver laces which extended to her thigh, stood before the pearl-white field with noticeable shivers traveling up and down the length of her exquisitely molded body. Her delicate lips trembled beneath soft, narrow hands as she attempted to conceal herself from the piercing stare of the ambivalent idol. Glaring directly down towards her was the stony, cycloptic face of the bloated deity. Gaping from its single obling socket was scintillating. Many faceted scarlet emerald, a brilliant gem seeming to possess a life all of its own. What? A priceless gleaming stone capable of domineering the wealth of conquering empires. The Eye of Argon. Wait, how are we here? Why are we seeing this? Where is this? Okay, never mind. Not that it matters. Is this a stand? I don't know. It sounds like the rock from part 2. The I forgot the name. The red jewel. I forgot the name of the jewel. Okay. Chapter 4. All knowledge of measuring time had escaped Grignr. When a person is deprived of the sun, moon, and stars, he loses all conception of time as he had previously understood it. It seemed as if years had passed, if time were being measured by terms of misery and mental anguish, yet he estimated that his stay had only been a few days in length. Fuck. It seemed as if years had passed, if time were being measured by terms of misery and mental anguish. That is so bad. That is such a bad fucking sentence. He has slept 3 times and had been fed 5 times since his awakening in the crypt. However, when the actions of the body are restricted, its needs are also affected. Oh, that's so deep. The need for nourishment and slumber are directly proportional to the functions the body has performed, meaning that when free and active Grignr may become hungry every 6 hours and witness the desire for sleep every 15 hours, whereas in his present condition he may encounter the need for food every 10 hours and the want for rest every 20 hours. All methods he had before depended upon were extinct in the dismal pit. Hence, he may have been imprisoned for 10 minutes or 10 years. He did not know, resulting in a disheartened emotion deep within his being. Do I even need to comment that? The food, if you can honor the moldering lumps of fetid mush to that extent, was born to him by two guards who opened a portal at the top of his enclosure and shoved it to him in wooden bowls, retrieving the food and water bowels from his previous meal at the same time, after which they threw back the bolts on the iron latch and returned to their other duties? Why would you say that the food was born to him by 2 guards? I am having pictures in my brain and I hate them. Boy, I sure do love birthing my food. Fuck! Crap! You're getting there. It's shit, it's fuck! Shit! Literal shit! Crap! God damn it. Whew. Okay. Where did I stop? Since deprived of all other means of nourishment, Grignr was impelled to eat the tainted slop in order to ward off the pangs of starvation. Though as he stuffed it into his mouth with his filthy fingers and struggled to force it down his throat, he imagined it was that which had been spurned by the hounds stationed at various segments of the palace. That is a very awkward sentence. Really awkward. Yes, to be in the back. Fuck, I'm laughing again. Shit. God damn it, all of your commentary is making me fucking laugh. Crap. Okay. There was little in the Bayron. There was little in the Bayron vault that could occupy his body or mind. He had paced out the length and width of the enclosure time and time again, and tested every granite slab which consisted the walls of the prison in hopes of finding a hidden passage to freedom, all of which was to no avail, other than to keep him busy and distract his mind from wandering to thoughts of what he believed was his future. You can This should have been like 6 sentences, not one big sausage. He had memorized the number of strides from one end to the other of the cell, and knew the exact number of slabs which made up the bleak dungeon. Numerous schemes were introduced, and alternately discarded in turn as they succored to unravel to him no means of escape which stood the slightest chance of success. I'm gonna go with success. Success. Do not make the meme. Success. Fuck! Shit! This dungeon is looking quite sussy. Fuck me! God damn it! Shit! Fuck! It's empty. Yeah, I took 2 sips basically. It's empty. So, I'm opening it. There's your ASMR. So, I don't want to like. Okay. Here we go. Can you even drink alcohol on Twitch? Is that a thing? Will I get in trouble? Nah, it's fine. Ugh, it's beer. Yeesh. Can I fill up the entire mug? Let me see. Not really. Okay. There's more in the can. Okay. It's there. This is the first time you're gonna see me actually drink alcohol. This won't do anything really. Like, but you know, it counts. Yeah, the can is half a liter, yeah. And the mug is, I think we have a measure somewhere. Yeah, the mug is 03, yeah. All right. So, let's move on. Where did I stop? Numerous schemes. Success, okay. Anguish continued to mount as his means of occupation were rapidly. Why did I say that? Because it is rapidly. Now I can't even read the words properly. Okay. Let's start again. Anguish continued to mount as his means of occupation were rapidly exhausted. I have a very good friend in Rome named Sussus among us. I didn't laugh. I'm still not laughing. Suddenly, without no tive, he was routed from his contemplations as he detected the faint scratching sound at the end of the crypt opposite him. The sound seemed to be caused by something trying to scrape... Oh, sorry. The sound seemed to be caused by something trying to scrape away at the granite... Oh, fuck, sorry. I'm getting hiccups. The sound seemed to be caused by something trying to scrape away at the granite blocks the floor of the enclosure consisted of. The sandy scratching of something like an animal's claws. Nagatoro? Okay, I don't know. Grignr gradually groped his way to the other end of the vault, carefully feeling his way along with his hands ahead of him. When a few inches from the wall, a loud, penetrating squeal and the scampering of small padded feet reverberated from the walls of the roughly hewn chamber. Grignr threw his hands up to shield his face and flung himself backwards upon his buttocks. A fuzzy form bounded to his hairy chest, burying its talons in his flesh while gnashing towards his throat with its grinding white teeth sour. Fetid breath scorching the skirming barbarian's dilating nostrils. Grignr grappled with the lashing flexor muscles of the repugnant body of a gargantuan brown-hided rat, striving to hold its razor teeth from his juicy jugular as its beady gray organs of sight glazed into the flaring emeralds of its prey. Why would you say that rats' eyes are beady gray organs of sight, and then his eyes are flaring emeralds? I need to see this animated. Someone animated this, right? These descriptions need to be, like, visualized properly. Oof. Okay. We're not even halfway through. Okay. Taking hold of the rodent around its lean, growling stomach, with both hands, Grignr pried it from his crimson-rent breast, removing small patches of flayed flesh from its chest in the motion between the squalid black claws of the starving beast. Holding the rodent at arm's length, he cupped his right hand over its frothing face, constricting his fingers into a vice-like fist over the quivering head. Retaining his grips on the rat, Grignr flexed his outstretched arms while slowly twisting his right hand clockwise and his left hand counterclockwise motion. The rodent let out a tortured squall, drawing scarlet as it violently dug its foam-flecked fangs into the barbarian's sweating palm, causing his face to contort to an ugly grimace as he cursed beneath his breath. Fuck! Why did he say breath? Why did he just say breath? Fuck me! Why is it breath? God damn it. Oh, it's beer. God, I hate beer. Fuck. Alright. Tortured squall. Fuck, no, don't do that to me. No! Gosh! Oh, okay. Focus. Concentrate. With a loud crack, the rodent's head parted from its squirming torso, sending out a sprinkling shower of crimson gore, and trailing a slimy string of disjointed vertebrae, snapped trachea, esophagus, and jugular, disjointed hyoid bone, morose, purple stretched hide, and blood-seared muscles. Like, he opened up an anatomy textbook, and he just copied down the words thinking he's smart. This is infuriating. I'm drinking a boner. Why did you make me say that? I hate you. Flinging the broken body to the floor, Grignr shook his blood-streaked hands and wiped them against his thigh until dry, then wiped the blood that had showered his face and from his eyes. Again, sitting himself upon the jagged floor, he prepared to once more revamp his glum meditations. He told himself that as long as he still breathed the gust of life through his lungs, hope was not lost. He told himself this, but found it hard to comprehend in his gloomy surroundings. Yet he was still alive, his bulging sinews at their peak of marvel, his struggling mind floating in a miral of impressed excellence of thought. Fuck! His struggling mind floating in a miral of impressed excellence of thought? Why? What kind of sentence is that? Why would you do that? That's so horrible. Oh. Plot after plot sifted through his mind in energetic contemplations. Then it hit him. Minutes may have passed in silent thought, or days, he could not tell, but he stumbled at last upon a plan that he considered as holding a slight margin of plausibility. He might die in the attempt, but he knew he would not submit without a final bloody struggle. It was not a foolproof plan, yet it built up a store of renewed vortexed energy in his overwrought soul. Though he might perish in the execution of the escape, he would still be escaping the life of infinite torture in store for him. Either way, he would still cheat the gloating prince of the succored revenge his sadistic mind craved so dearly. The guards would soon come to bear him off to the prince's buried mines of dread, giving him the sought-after opportunity to execute his newly formulated plan. Groping his way along the rough floor, Grignr finally found his tool in a pool of congealed gore, the carcass of the decapitated rodent, the tool that the very filth he had been sentenced to spawned. When the time came for action, he would have to be prepared, so he set himself to rending the sticky hulk in grim silence, searching by the touch of his fingertips for the lever to freedom. When he says he found his tool in a pool of congealed gore, I'm just thinking of him grabbing his dick. That's it. That's all I'm thinking about, and I hate it. Some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to take. Okay. Chapter 5. Up to the altar and be done with it, wench, ordered a fidgeting shaman as he gave the female a grim stare accompanied by the wrinkling of his lips to a mirthful grin of delight. A chuckle? Okay, fine. I would kill you all. Wait, Alex would kill us all of mainstream E-fame if he could? What do you mean? I'm not following you there. Okay. The girl burst into a slow, steady whimper, stooping shakily to her knees and cringing woefully from the priest with both arms wound snake-like around the bulging jade shin rising before her scantily attired figure. I almost chuckled there. Okay. Her face was redly inflamed from the salty flow of tears spouting from her glassy, dilated eyeballs. What is your fetish with eyeballs? Why do you have an eyeball fetish? You're making this really hard to read. Woo. With short, heavy footfalls. It's not a fall because we're missing an L. Footfalls. With short, heavy footfalls, the priest approached the female, his piercing stare never wavering from her quivering young countenance. Halting before the terrified girl, he projected his arm outward and motioned her to arise with an upward movement of his hand. The girl's whimpering increased slightly, and she sunk closer to the floor rather than arising. The flickering torches outlined her trim build with a weird, ornate glow as it cast a ghostly shadow, dancing in horrid waves of splendor over smoothly worn whiteness of the marble-hewn altar. The shaman's lips curled back farther, exposing a set of blackened, decaying molars which transformed his slovenly grin into a wide, greasy arc of sadistic mirth, and alternately interposed into the female a strong sensation of stomach-curdling nausea. Have it as you will, female, gloated the enhanced priest as he bent over at the waist, projecting his ape-like arms forward and clasped the female's slender arms with his hairy round fists. With an inward surge of his biceps, he harshly jerked the trembling girl to her feet and smothered her salty wet cheeks with the moldy touch of his decrepit, dull red lips. Yeesh. It's like I'm reading a hentai. The vile stench of the shaman's hot, fetid breath overcame the nauseated female with a deep, soul-searing sickness, causing her to wrench her head backwards and regurgitate a slimy, orange-white stream of swelling gore over the richly woven purple robe of the enthused acolyte. Wait, she barfed? Okay. The priest's lips trembled with a malicious rage as he removed his callous paws from the girl's arms and replaced them with tightly around her undulating neck, shaking her violently to and fro. Let me in! Let me in! The girl gasped a tortured groan from her clamped lungs, her sea blue eyes bulging forth from damp sockets. What is with you and eyes? Cocking her right foot backwards, she leashed it desperately outwards with the strength of a demon possessed, lodging her sandaled foot squarely between the shaman's testicles. How unexpected. The startled priest released his crushing grip, crimping his body over at the waist, overlooking his recessed belly, wide open in a deep chasm. In a deep chasm. His face flushed to a rose-red shade of crimson, eyelids fluttering wide with eyeballs protruding blindly outwards from their sockets to their outmost perimeters, while his lips quivered wildly about, allowing an agonized wallow to gust forth as his breath billowed from burning lungs. That is a sentence. His hands reached out, clutching his urinary gland as his knees wobbled rapidly about for a few seconds, then buckled, causing the ruptured shaman to collapse in an egg-huddled mass to the granite pavement, rolling helplessly about in his agony. Clutching his urinary gland. You can't really clutch a urinary gland, but okay, you do you. Sure. Oh wow, the Streamlabs the Streamlabs bot is actually working. That's insane. Okay. The pathetic screeches of the shaman groveling in dejected misery upon the hand-hewn granite-laid pavement, worn smooth by countless hours of arduous sweat and toil, a welter of ichor oozing through his clenched hands, attracted the perturbed attention of his comrades from their fetid ululations. The actions of this rebellious wench bespoke the credence of an unheard-of sacrilege. Never before in a lost maze of untold eons had a chosen one dared to demonstrate such blasphemy in the face of the cult's idolic deity. Yeah, they actually work. All of those work. Thank you for the test of commands. For some reason, the bot works now. I'm curious if it's going to work when I switch to stream elements. So I didn't do one for the podcast because everything happened with the OBS shit. So I didn't do it yet. When I switch to stream elements, I'll do something for the podcast as well. All right. The girl cowered in unreasoning terror, helpless in the face of the emblazoned acolytes' rage. Her orchid tousled face smothered betwixt her bulging bosom as she shut her curled lash tightly, hoping to open them and find herself awakening from a morbid nightmare. What are these sentences? Holy fuck! Yet, the hand of destiny decreed her no such mercy, the antagonized pack of leering shaman converging tensely upon her prostrate form, where it were entangled all too lividly in the grim web of reality. What are you even saying at this point? Shuddering from the clammy touch of the shaman as they grappled with her supple form, hands wrenching at her slender arms and legs in all directions, her bare body being molested in the midst of a labyrinth of orange smudges, purple satin, and mangled skulls, shadowed in an eerie crimson glow. Her confused head reeled, then clouded in a mist of enshrouding ebony as she lapsed beneath the protective sheet of unconsciousness to a land peach and resign. What? This entire fucking sentence is nothing. What the fuck does this mean? Okay. Chapter 6. Take hold of this rope, said the first soldier, and climb out from your pit, slut. Your presence is requested in another far deeper hellhole. Grignr slipped his right hand to his thigh, concealing a small opaque object beneath the folds of the G-string wrapped about his waist. I'm going to read that again, and you tell me, without context, how it sounds. Grignr slipped his right hand to his thigh, concealing a small opaque object beneath the folds of the G-string wrapped about his waist. Brine wells swelled in Grignr's cold, jade-squinting eyes, which, grown accustomed to the gloom of the Stygian pools of ebony engulfing him, were bedazzled and blinded by flickering radiance cast forth by the second soldier's resin torch. Could you get a copy-paste of the sentence? Can I copy-paste? Let me see. Hello. Let me see if it works. Holy shit, it does. There you go. Enjoy. That I think that's my current favorite sentence currently. All right. Where did I stop? Okay. Tightly gripped in the second soldier's right hand, opposite the intermittent torch, was a large double-edged axe, a long leather-wound oaken-handled transfixing the center of the weapon's iron head. Adorning the torsos of both of the sentries were thin yet sturdy hauberks, the breastplates of which were woven of tightly hemmed twines of reinforced silver braiding. Why would you say twines of silver? Twine is like for wool. Why would you say that for silver? Okay. Cupping the soldiers' feet were thick leather sandals, wound about their shins to 2 inches below their knees. Wrapped about their waists were wide satin girdles with slender bladed poniards dangling loosely from them, the hilts of which featured scarlet-encrusted gems. They looked very fabulous. Resting upon the manes of their heads and reaching midway to their brows were smooth copper morions. I have no idea what a morion is. With a piece of helmet or something? Spiraling the lower portion of the helmet were short, upcurved silver spikes, while a golden hump spired from the top of each bassinet. Beneath their chins, wound around their necks and draping their clad shoulders, dangled regal purple satin cloaks, which flowed midway to the soldiers' feet. Hand over hand, feet braced against the dank walls of the enclosure, huge Grignr ascended from the mouldering depths of the forlorn abyss. His swelled limbs, stiff due to the boredom of a timeless inactivity, compounded by the musty atmosphere, and jagged granite protuberance against his body, craved for action. The opportunity now presenting itself served the purpose of oiling his rusty joints and honing his dulled senses. He braced himself, facing the second soldier. The sentry's stature was wildly exaggerated in the glare of the flickering crescent cuppix in his right fist. What the fuck is a crescent cuppix? His eyes were wide open in a slightly slanted, owlish glaze, enhanced in their sinister intensity by the hawkbill curve of his nose and pale yellow peak of his cheeks. Peak of his cheeks. "Place your hands behind your back," said the second soldier as he raised his axe over his right shoulder blade and cast it a wavering glance. "We must bind your wrists to parry any attempts at escape. Be sure to make the knot a stout one, Broig. We wouldn't want our guest to take leave of our guidance." Broig grasped Grignr's left wrist and reached for the barbarian's right wrist. Grignr wrenched his right arm free and swiveled to face Broig, reached beneath his loincloth with his right hand. The sentry grappled at his girdle for the sheathed dagger, but recoiled short of his intentions as Grignr's right arm swept to his gorge. The soldier went limp, his bobbing eyes rolling beneath fluttering eyelids, a deep welt across his spouting gullet. Without lingering to observe the result of his efforts, Grignr dropped to his knees. The second soldier's axe cleft over Grignr's head in a bluthe of silvered ferocity, severing several scarlet locks from his scalp. Coming to rest in his fellow's stomach, the iron head crashed through mail and flesh with splintering force, spilling a pool of crimsoned entrails over the granite paving. Before the sentry could wrench his axe free from his comrade's carcass, he found Grignr's massive hands clasped about his throat, choking the life from his clamped lungs. With a zealous grunt, the accordion flexed his tightly corded biceps, forcing the grim-faced soldier to one knee. The sentry plunged his right fist into Grignr's face, digging his grimy nails into the barbarian's flesh. Ejaculating accursed through rasping teeth, Grignr surged the bulk of his weight forward, bowling the besieged soldier over upon his back. The sentry's arms collapsed to his thigh, shuddering convulsively, his bulging eyes staring blindly from a bloated cherry-red face. Are his hips moving on their own? Is that what's happening here? It feels like his hips are moving on their own. I hate it. Daddy Grignr, please, take me. He found Grignr's massive hand clasped around his throat as he moaned in pain. Yes, right. I feel like you, White Glove, could cosplay Grignr. I feel like you could do it. In fact, I have this suspicion that you might have already done that. I just have this inkling that that's kind of a thing with you. I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but I can see the potential. Rising to his feet, Grignr shook the blood. Rising to his feet, Grignr shook the blood from his eyes, ruffling his surly red mane as the brush fire swaying to the nighttime breeze. Stooping over the sprawled corpse of the first soldier, Grignr retrieved a small white object from a pool of congealing gore. Snorting a gusty billow of mirth, he once more concealed the tiny object beneath his loincloth, the tediously honed pelvis bone of the broken rodent. Returning his attention toward the second soldier, Grignr turned to the task of attiring his limbs. To move about freely through the dim recesses of the castle would require the grotesque garb of its soldiery. Small white object, indeed. Utilizing the silence and stealth, acquired? No, he's missing the C. So, acquired. Utilizing the silence and stealth acquired in the untamed climes of his childhood. Untamed climes of his childhood? Grignr slink through twisting corridors and winding stairways, lighting his way with the confiscated torch of his dispatched guardian. Knowing where his steps were leading to, Grignr meandered aimlessly in search of an exit from the chateau's dim confines. The wild blood... Oh, shit. Thank you for the follow, Canarix. I'm stopping the story to project? No. Not really. Well, maybe. No. It's fine. It's fine. Where did I stop? The wild blood coursing through his veins yearned for the undefiled freedom of the livid wilderness lands. What is this? Okay, yeah. What is this thing? What is this? Do you see this? Can I zoom this in? Wait. Where's the wait. Display capture, okay. Do you see this? What is that? Why does it say ick? What the fuck is that? I genuinely cannot tell. Is that supposed to be a guard? No. No, is that the rat? Is that the fucking rat? That's the rat, isn't it? That is not a rat. That looks like a furry. Okay. Unibrow bovine? That was a chuckle. Let me just fit the screen. Thank you. Okay. Oh, hello. We got Booba. We got Booba. We are at 17 out of 29 pages. I guess we're halfway through, I guess. All right. Coming upon a fork in the passage, he shrieked. Voices accompanied by clinking footfalls discerned to his sensitive ears from the left corridor. Thanks for sticking around, Maxis. Don't worry, you can watch this later. It'll be up on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube now, hi. Good night. Okay. Wishing to avoid contact, Grignr veered to the right passageway. If quested as to the purpose of his presence, his barbarous accent would reveal his identity, being that his attire was not that of the castle's mercenary troops. Didn't he just say that he needed to take their armor so he would use it as disguise? In grim silence, Grignr treaded down the dingily lit corridor. Dingily? I guess dingily. I'll give him that. Dingily lit corridor. A stalking panther creeping warily along on padded feet. After an interminable period of wandering through the dull corridors, no gaps to break the monotony of the cold grey walls, Grignr espied a small winding stairway. Descending the flight of arced? I mean, no, it should be arched. So arsed? Descending the flight of arsed granite slabs to the posterior, Grignr was confronted by a short hallway leading to a tall arched wooden doorway. Exactly, yes, he revealed his Dalmatian accent. Fuck, why did I chuckle? Shit. Fuck. Okay. I said harbor. Okay. Halting before the teeming portal, Grignr rested his shaggy head sideways against the barrier. Detecting no sounds from within, he grasped the looped metal handle of the door, his arms surging with a tremendous effort of bulging muscles, yet the door would not budge. Retrieving his axe from where he had sheathed it beneath his girdle, he hefted it in his mighty hands with an appeased grunt, and wedging one of its blackened edges into the crack between the portal and its iron-rimmed sill. Bracing his sandaled right foot against the roguely foot against the roguely hewn wall, teeth tightly clenched, Grignr apelevered the oaken haft, employing it as a lever whereby to pry open the barrier. The leather-wound hilt bending to its utmost limits of endurance, the massive portal swung open with a grating of snapped latch and rusty iron hinges. All of that to say he opened the fucking door. Holy shit. Glancing about the dust-swirled room in the gloomily dancing glare of his flickering cresset, Grignr eyed evidences of the enclosure being nothing more than a forgotten storeroom. Don't use plural for evidence! Don't do that! Miscellaneous articles required for the maintenance of a castle were piled in disorganized heaps at infrequent intervals toward the wall opposite the barbarian's piercing stare. Utilizing long, bounding strides, Grignr paced his way over to the mounds of supplies to discover if any articles of value were contained within their midst. Detecting a faint clinking sound, Grignr sprawled to his left side with the speed of a striking cobra, landing harshly upon his back, torch and axe loudly clattering to the floor in a morass of sparks and flame. Jesus. A elm-woven... And it's so hard to pronounce. A elm-woven board leaped from collapsed flooring, clashing against the jagged flooring and spewing a shower of orange and yellow sparks over Grignr's startled face. What? Rising uneasily to his feet, the half-stunned accordion glared down at the gruesome arm of death he had unwittingly sprung. Mrifk! What? What the fuck? That was my best John Tron impression. Okay. If not for his keen auditory organs, and lighting steeled reflexes, Grignr would have been groping through the shadowed hell pits of the Grim Reaper. This is very hard. Please do not take that out of context. Oh my god. Okay. He had unknowingly stumbled upon an ancient, long-forgotten booby trap. A mistake which would have stunted the perusal of longevity of one less agile. This is very hard. A mechanism similar in type to that of a miniature catapult was concealed beneath two collapsible sections of granite flooring. The arm of the device was 4 feet long, boasting razor-like cleats. Cleats? Razor-like cleats at regular intervals along its face, with which it was to skewer the luckless body of its would-be victim. I'm completely lost. I have no idea what he's describing. Grignr had stepped upon a concealed catch, which relayed a small metal latch beneath the two granite sections, causing them to fall inward, and thereby loose the spiked arm of death they precariously held in. Like, I thought my writing was bad when I was 12, but this is something else. Amazing. A booby trap that actually catches boobies. No. The protagonist isn't a girl. At least I hope it's not. Like, he's a barbarian. Right? Right? I think? No. But my gay poetry is way more fabulous than this. Trust me. So, partially out of curiosity and partially out of an inordinate fear of becoming a pincushion for a possible second trap, Grignr plunged his torch into the exposed gap in the floor. The floor of a second chamber stood out 7 feet below the glare. Tossing his torch through the aperture, Grignr grasped the side of an adjoining tile, dropping down. Glancing about the room, Grignr discovered that he had descended into the palace's mausoleum. Rectangular stone crypts cluttered the floor at evenly placed intervals. The tops of the enclosures were plated with thick layers of virgin gold, while the sides were plated with white ivory, at one time sparkling, but now grown dingy through the passage of the rays of all-encompassing Mother Time. What do you mean virgin gold? What kind of expression is that? Okay. Featured at the head of each sarcophagus in tarnished silver was an expugnatively carved likeness of its rotting inhabitant. Expugnatively? What did you want to write? Fuck. Alex started questioning the character, and by extension his very sexuality. Was the amazingly written character truly a big, strong barbarian gal? Question mark? I'm not sure if this is a Tumblr stream. This is more of a, Is this more like a... This is a MySpace stream. This is a MySpace stream. Alright. A dingy atmosphere pervaded the air of the chamber, which sealed in the enclosure for an unknown period had grown thick and stale. Intermingling with the curdled currents was the repugnant stench of slowly mouldering flesh, creeping ever slowly but surely through minute cracks in the numerous vaults. God! Due to the embalming of the bodies, their flesh decayed at a much slower rate than is normal, yet the nauseous odor was nonetheless repellent. Very boomer indeed. Towering over Grignr's head was the trap he released. The mechanism of the miniaturized catapult was cluttered with mildew and cobwebs. Notwithstanding these relics of antiquity, its efficiency remained unimpinged. To the right of the trap wound a short stairway through a recession in the ceiling, a concealed entrance leading to the mausoleum for which the catapult had obviously been erected as a silent, relentless guardian. Wait, so he shoved the torch down, he sees the mausoleum through a hole, but there's a staircase to the right that leads to the mausoleum, so he could obviously tell there was a room below. He didn't... Okay. Fucking damn it. Taking a break from breeding Pokemon and replacing the grind with the only thing just as tedious and miserable, Drakengard won. Shit. I almost laughed again. That quote, White Glove, is fucking me up. It doesn't help that I'm reading this with Final Fantasy XII music. I'm thinking like, I'm not seeing Grignr, I'm seeing Bosch. I'm seeing Bosch doing this, and it makes it even funnier in my head. Alright. Climbing up the side of the device, Grignr set to the task of resetting its mechanism. In the event that a search was organized, it would prove well to leave no evidence of his presence open to wandering eyes. Besides, it might even serve to dwindle the size of an opposing force. Descending from his perch, Grignr was startled by a faintly muffled scream of horrified desperation. His hair prickled yawkishly in disorganized clumps along his scalp, as a cold danced along the length of his spinal cord. No mortal barrier, human or otherwise, was capable of arousing the numbing sensation of fear inside of Grignr's smoldering soul. However, he was overwrought by the forces of the barbarians' instinctive fear of the supernatural. His mighty thews had always served to adequately conquer any tangible foe. His mighty thews? What the fuck is a thew? I need to check if that's a word. Wait. I need to check if he went into some kind of thesaurus, or did he just like... Holy shit! Thew! Muscular strength. Muscles and tendons perceived as generating strength. I've never heard about this. Thew, muscular strength. I am learning something new because of the Eye of Argon. Holy fuck. Holy shit. Alright. His mighty thews had always served to adequately conquer any tangible foe. But the intangible was something distant and terrible. Dim, horrifying tales passed by word of mouth over glimmering campfires, and skins of wine had more than once served the purpose of chilling the marrowed core of his sturdy-limbed bones. This sentence is wrong. Let's just keep going. Yet, the scream contained a strangely human quality, unlike that which Grignr imagined would come from the lungs of a demon or spirit, making Grignr take short, nervous strides advancing to the sarcophagus from which the sound was issuing. Is this like vampire now? Clenching his teeth in an attempt to steel his jangled nerves, Grignr slid the engraved slab from the vault with a sharp rasp of grinding stone. Another long-drawn cry of terror-infested anguish met the barbarian, scoring like the shrill piping of a demented banshee, piercing the inner fibers of his superstitious brain with primitive dread, and awe. Stooping over to espy the tomb's contents, the glittering accordion's nostrils were singed by the scorching aroma of a mouldering corpse, long shut up and fermenting. The same putrid scent which permeated the entire chamber, though multiplied to a much more concentrated dosage. The shriveled, leathery packet of crumbling bones and dried, flacking flesh offered no resistance, but remained in a fixed position of perpetual vigilance, watching over its dim abode from hollow, gaping sockets. This is so bad. Just say it's a dead body. Holy fuck. The tortured cries were not coming from the tomb, but from some hidden depth below. Pulling the reeking corpse from its resting place, Grignr tossed it to the floor in a broken, mangled heap. Upon one side of the crypt's bottom was attached a series of tiny hinges, while running parallel along the opposite side of a convex railing-like protuberance, laid so as to appear as a part of the interior surface of the sarcophagus. Raising the slab upon its bronze hinges, long removed from the gaze of human eyes, Grignr perceived a scene which caused his blood to smolder, not unlike bubbling, molten lava. Directly below him, a whimpering female lay stretched upon a smooth-surfaced marble altar. A pack of gracie-faced shaman clustered around her in a tight, circular formation. Crouched over the girl was a tall, pot-bellied priest, his face dominated by a disgusting, open-mouthed grimace of sadistic glee. Suspended from the acolyte's clenched right hand was a carven, oval-faced mallet, which he waved menacingly over the girl's shadowed face, an incoherent gibberish flowing from his grinning, thick-lipped mouth. Crni za tamnina stakla, svira toto, Afrika. Izgleda da otimaju boomere. What? What? That's confusing. Okay. In the face of the amorphous, broad-breasted female, stretched out alluringly before his gaping eyes, the universal whim of nature filing a plea of despair inside of his white-hot soul, Grignr acted in the only manner he could perceive. Giving vent to a hoarse, throat-rending battle cry, Grignr plunged into the midst of the startled shaman, torch simmering in his left hand and axe twirling in his right hand. Andex twirling in his right hand. A gaunt, skull-faced priest standing at the far side of the altar clutched desperately at his throat, coughing furiously in an attempt to catch his breath. What? Lurching helplessly to and fro, the acolyte pitched headlong against the gleaming base of a massive jade idol, writhing agonizedly, oh god, against the hideous image, foam flecking his chalk-white lips. The priest struggled helplessly. the victim of an epileptic seizure. Okay, but seizure, fine. I'm gonna say seizure. Okay. Startled by the barbarian's stunning appearance, the chronic fit of their fellow, and the fear that Grignr might be the avant-garde of a conquering force dedicated to the cause of destroying that degenerated cult, the Saman momentarily lost their composure. Did he say that Grignr is the avant-garde of a conquering force? Did he mean to say front guard? First guard? Why did he say avant-garde? That is so bad. That is so fucking bad. Giving vent to heedless pandemonium. Giving vent to heedless pandemonium, the priests fell easy prey to Grignr's sweeping arc of crimson death and maiming destruction. Destruction. Vanguard, yes, Vanguard, also good. Okay. The acolyte performing the sacrifice took a vicious blow to the stomach, hands clutching vitals and severed spinal cord as he sprawled over the altar. If he has a severed spinal cord, he can't clutch any vitals. He's dead. The disorganized priests lurched and staggered with split skulls, dismembered limbs, and spewing entrails before the enraged Accordian's relentless onslaught. The howls of the maimed and dying reverberated against the walls of the tiny chamber, a chorus of hell-fraught despair, as the granite floor ran red with blood. The entire chamber was encompassed in the heat of raw, savage butchery, as Grignr luxuriated in the grips of a primitive, beastly bloodlust. Okay. Presently all went silent, save for the ebbing groans of the sinking shaman and Grignr's heaving breath, accompanied by several gusty curses. The well had run dry. No more lambs remained for the slaughter. Fuck, that was a chuckle. Fuck. Shit. Fuck. The rampaging stead of death, having taken of Grignr for the moment, left the barbarian free to the exploitation of his other perusials. Towering over his head was the misshaped image of the cult's hideous deity, Argon. The fantastic size of the idol, in consideration of its being of pure jade, was enough to cause the senses of any man to stagger and reel. Yet thus was not the case with the behemoth. He had paid only casual notice to this incredible fact, while riveting the whole of his attention upon the jewel protruding from the idol's soul socket, its masterfully cut faucets emitting blinding rays of hypnotizing beauty. After all, a man cannot slink from a heavily guarded palace while burdened down by the intense bulk of a squatting statue, providing, of course, that the idol can even be hefted, which in fact was beyond the reaches of Grignr's coursing stamina. On the other hand, the jewel, gigantic as it was, would not present a hindrance of any mean concern. Dobro večer, ovdje je neko iz krca momka, ranjen je. Ne znam je li živ, govori ženski glas dispečeru hitne pomoći koji je pitao za lokaciju. Starac je to za klis, nakon tunela livo, tu je graža i neki auti, tu ga neko iz krca. Molim vas, požurite, ajme meni, čuje se na snimci djevojčin glas. Je li to kod pečenog mesa? Pita dispečer. Prije pečenog, prije, veli žena. What? What? In an interview he granted after the story achieved notoriety, Thays said that he was planning a massive rewrite, noting that, following the story's publication, he had been given constructive criticism from friends and had learned a lot about writing on his own. This new version never came. In the 80s, Thays granted another interview where he explained how the mockery and humiliation eventually got to the point where he decided to give up on the rewrite and on being an author entirely. Oh, that's kind of a shame. That's kind of a shame. Imagine him Imagine him writing a book, not a story, a book like this. The Room of Books. I'm game. Okay. Where did I stop? Okay. Help me, please. I can make it well worth your while, pleaded a soft, anguish-strewn voice wafting over Grignr's shoulders as he plucked the dull red emerald from its roots. Turning, Grignr faced the female that had lured him into this bloodbath, but whom had become all but forgotten in the heat of the battle. You! Ejaculated the accordion in a pleased tone. Ugh, why did you have to say ejaculate? I thought that I had seen the last of you at the tavern, but verily I was mistaken. Grignr advanced into the grips of the female's entrancing stare, severing the golden chains that held her captive upon the altar's highly polished face of ornamental limestone. So wait, this is the same girl from the tavern? Oh wait, the giveaway's over? Wait. Okay. We need to deal with that. Let's give away the game. As Grignr lifted the girl from the altar, her arms wound dexterously about his neck, soft and smooth against his harsh exterior. Art thou pleased that we have chanced to meet once again? Grignr merely voiced an sighed grunt, returning the damsel's embrace while he smothered her trim, delicate lips between the coursing protrusions of his reeking maw. That is a gross line. That is a horrible line. Holy fuck. Okay. Alright. Why enter myself into a raffle for a chance toe in one key when I can take all the keys? Shit. Let us take leave of this wretched chamber, stated Grignr as he placed the female upon her feet. She swooned a moment, causing Grignr to give her support, then regained her stance. Art thou able to find your way through the accursed passages of this castle? Rifk, every one of the corridors of this damned place are identical. No, wait. No, wait. Sorry. That was Grignr. Okay. Sorry. So, I'm gonna repeat that. Art thou able to find your way through the accursed passages of this castle? Rifk, every one of the corridors of this damned place are identical. I was at one time a slave of Prince Agafim. His clammy touch sent a sour swill through my belly, but my efforts reaped a harvest. I gained the pig's liking, whereby he allowed me the freedom of the palace. It was through this means that I eventually managed to escape of the palace. It was a simple matter to seduce the sentry at the western gate. His trust found him with a dagger thrust his ribs, the wench stated whimsicorically. Fuck me! Whimsicorically? Shit! I'm not drunk. I'm a big boy. I don't get drunk easily. I've been drunk twice in my life, and there was nothing too special, really. That was a chuckle. Shit. What were you doing at the tavern whence I discovered you? Asked Grignr as he lifted the female through the opening into the mausoleum. I had sought to lay low from the palace's guards as they conducted their search for me. The tavern was seldom frequented by the palace guards, and my identity was unknown to the common soldiers. It was through the disturbance that you caused that the palace guards were attracted to the tavern. I was dragged away shortly after you were escorted to the palace. What are you called by, female? Carthena, daughter of Mincados, Duke of Barwego, whose lands border along the northwestern fringes of Gorzum. I was paid as homage to Agafim upon his 38th year, husked the femme. And I'm called a barbarian, grunted Grignr in a disgusted tone. Aye, the ways of our civilization are in many ways warped and distorted. But what is your calling? She queried. Bustily. Fuck! She queried. Bustily. I'm just picturing her like shoving her tits off of his face. Fucking Christ. What is your goal? Fuck. Shit. I will not bustily narrate for you. It doesn't work that way. Fucking Christ. You cannot bustily narrate someone or something. Fuck. Wait, give me a sec. Give me a moment. I can't even read that. Fuck. Shit. Oh. What are you called by, Game Journal? I can't do that. That's so bad. That's so wrong. Fuck. Oh. Okay, I think I laughed like 6 times, so you're right. I need to down this. I need to down this. Empty. So now I'm gonna fill it. Again. Cans empty. New set. New set. A corner store, by the way, we don't have a corner store. The closest Traffica is like, I don't even know. Everything I think is closed nearby. The one store that works 24/7 is very far away. The store below my building isn't like always open. It has normal times, and it's Saturday today. Nothing's open. There are like 2 or 3 shops in the entire city that work 24/7 and have alcohol, and they are not nearby. So I can't just, run through. So, hey, it's half a liter. It's half a liter. So, it's Saturday midnight. It's Saturday midnight. Nothing is open on midnight anyway, regardless of day. So, just to put this in context, I live in the 2nd biggest city in the country. So keep that in mind, Nothing's still open anyway. You can't even order anything because nobody's delivering anyway. So, okay, we have this beer here, but I might find like some kind of liquor or something somewhere. So, no, I just said nothing delivers, nothing works. We don't have that. Okay. Send the care package. Well, if you send it now, it won't arrive. No matter how express you send it. All right. Where did I stop? I stopped at bustily. Okay.
Grignr of Accordia.
Ah, I have heard vaguely of Accordia. It is the hill country to the far east of the Noregolian Empire. I have also heard Agafim curse your land more than once when his troops were routed in the unaccustomed mountains and gorges, saith she.
Aye, my people are not tarnished by petty luxuries and baubles. They remain fierce and unconquerable in their native climes.
After reaching the hidden panel at the head of the stairway, Grignr was at a loss in regard to its operation. I read it before, Phantom. You already forgot. I read it. His fiercest heaves were as pebbles against burnished armor. Carthena depressed a small symbol included within the elaborate design upon the panel, whereupon it slowly slid into a cleft in the wall. Sorry, burped.
How did you come to be the victim of those crazed shaman?
Quested Grignr. Quested, Grignr? As he escorted Carthena through the piles of rummage on the left side of the trap. The new one? There was a new one? Oh shit! Sorry, I missed it. Sorry. Alex attempted to bustily narrate for his dearest viewers, taking off his shirt and hoodie ever so slowly. But that's Twitch banned. You can't do that. That's a bad thing. All right. Okay. Where did I stop? Okay, Paul. Okay. By Alfim's orders, I was thrust into a secluded cell to wait his passing of sentence. No, wait, is that... No, shit, is that Grignr or... No, that's her. That's her. Okay. Sadly, I am wearing pants. Sadly. I can be contained. Screw the toss! I have the ability to read bustily! By Alfim's orders, I was thrust into a secluded cell to await his passing of sentence. By some means, the priests of Argon acquired a set of keys to the cell. They slew the guard placed over me and abducted me to the chamber in which you chanced to come upon the caustic sacrifice. Their hell-spawned cult demands a sacrifice once every 3 moons upon its full journey through the heavens. They were startled by your unannounced appearance through the fear that you had been sent by Agafim. The prince would surely have submitted them to the most ghastly of tortures if he had ever discovered their unfaithfulness to Sargon, his bastard deity. Many of the partakers of the ritual were high nobles and high trustees of the inner palace. Agafim's pitiless wrath would have been unparalleled. Unparalleled.
They have no more to fear of Agafim now,
bellowed Grignr in a deep, mirthful tone, a gleeful smirk upon his face.
I have seen that they were delivered from his vengeance.
Engrossed by Carthena's graceful stride and conversation, Grignr failed to take note of the footfalls rapidly approaching behind him. As he swung aside the arched portal linking the chamber with the corridors beyond, a maddened, bloodlusting screech reverberated from his eardrums. Seemingly utilizing the speed of thought, Grignr swiveled to face his unknown foe. With gaping eyes and widened jaws, Grignr raised his axe above his surly mane, but he was too late. Chapter 7. With wobbling knees and swimming head, the priest that had lapsed into an epileptic seizure rose unsteadily to his feet. While enacting his choking fit in writhing agony, the shaman was overlooked by Grignr. The barbarian had mistaken the seizure for the death throes of the acolyte, allowing the priest to avoid his stinging blade. The sight that met the priest's inflamed eyes nearly served to sprawl him upon the floor once more. The sacrificial sat in grim, blood-splattered silence all around him, broken only by the occasional yelps and howls of his maimed and butchered fellows. Above his head rose the hideous idol, its empty socket holding the shaman's furbished, infuriated gaze. His eyes turned to a stony glaze with the realization of the pillage and blasphemy. due to his high susceptibility. Following the seizure, the priest was transformed into a raving maniac, bent solely upon wreaking vengeance. With lips curled and quivering, a crust of foam dripping from them, the acolyte drew a long, wicked-looking jewel-hilted scimitar from his silver girdle and fled through the aperture in the ceiling, uttering a faintly perceptible ceremonial gibberish. Second, they have read and watch the box. I mean, I guess being social is always better, man. You do you. Either one is fine. Either one is fine. Chapter 7.5. A sweeping scimitar swung towards Grignr's head in a shadowed blur of motion. With axe raised over his head, Grignr prepared to parry the blow, while gaping wide-eyed in open-mouthed perplexity. Suddenly, a sharp snap resounded behind the frothing shaman. The scimitar, halfway through its fatal sweep, dropped from a quivering, nerveless hand, clattering harmlessly to the Stone Age. Cutting his screech short with a bubbling, red-mouthed gurgle, the lacerated acolyte staggered under the pressure of the released springboard. After a moment of hopeless struggling, the shaman buckled, sprawling face down in a widening pool of blood and entrails, his regal purple robe blending enhancingly with the swirling streams of crimson. That's very bad.
Brisk, I thought I had killed the last of those dogs, muttered Grignr in a half-apathetic state.
Nay, Grignr, you doubtlessly grew careless while giving vent to your lusts. But let us not tarry any long, lest we overtax the fates. The paths leading to freedom will soon be barred. The wretch's cries must certainly have attracted unwanted attention, the wench mused.
By what direction shall we pursue our flight?
That is so bad. A barbarian would never say something like that. Oof. Oof. Up that stair and down the corridor, a short distance is the concealed entrance to a tunnel seldom used by others than the prince, and known to few others save the palace's royalty. It is used mainly by the prince when he wishes to take leave of the palace in secret. It is not always in the prince's best interest to leave his chateau in public view. Even while under heavy guard, he is often assaulted by hurtling stones and rotting fruits. The commoners have little love for him, lectured the Nair lady. Nair lady? Thanks? Did I ever show you me? I have a pic of me with long hair. Did I ever show you that? I had hair up to here. Once in college years. If you want to see that, I can find that. I can find the picture. But I never had like long hair, you know, so. No. No. Yes, show it? Maybe later. There was, for one carnival, like when I was in second year of high school, I think, maybe third year of high school, I dressed as a metalhead. And I had a wig. I had a long hair wig. And nobody recognized me. Because nobody was ready for me with long hair at all. But I don't think I have a picture or anything like that. So, yeah, a metalhead, a Metallica fan, yeah. Okay. Where did I stop?
It is amazing that they would ever have left a pig like him become their ruler. I should imagine that his people would rise up and crucify him like the dog he is.
Alas, Grignr, it is not as simple as all that. His soldiers are well paid by him. So long as he keeps their wages up, they will carry out his damned wishes. The crude implements of the common folk would never stand up under an onslaught of forged blades and protective armor. They would be going to their own slaughter, stated Carthena to a confused but angered Grignr as they topped the stairway. Yet how can they bear to live under such oppression? I would sooner die beneath the sword than live under such a dog's command, added Grignr as the pair stalked down the hall in the direction opposite that in which Grignr had come. Why did you say that? That is such a dumb sentence. I don't know about Croatian death metal, really. It probably exists, but yeah. But all men are not of the same mold that you are born of. They choose to live as they are so as to save their filthy necks from the chopping block, returned Carthena in a disgusted tone as she cast an appeased glance towards the stalwart figure at her side, whose left arm was wound dexterously about her slim waist, his slowly waning torch casting their images in intermingling wisps as it dangled from his left hand. This is like the 6th time he said wound dexterously. Presently, Carthena came upon the panel, concealed amongst the other granite slabs and discernible only by the burned-out cresset above it. As I pushed the cresset aside, pushed the panel inwards. Katrina motioned to the panel she was referring to and twisted the cresset in a counterclockwise motion. Grignr braced his right shoulder against the walling, concentrating the force of his bulk against it. The slab gradually swung inward with a slight grating sound. Carthena stooped beneath Grignr's corded arms and crawled upon all fours into the passage beyond. Grignr followed after easing the slab back into place. Winding before the pair was a dark, musty tunnel, exhibiting tangled spiderwebs from its ceiling to wall and an oozing, sickly slime running lazily upon its floor. Hanging from the chipped wall upon Grignr's right side was a half-molded corpse, its grey flacking arms held in place by rusted iron manacles. Carthena flinched back into Grignr's arms at sight of the leering set in an ugly distorted grimace, staring horribly at her from hollow gaping sockets.
This alcove must also be used by Agathim as a torture chamber. I wonder how many of his enemies have disappeared into these haunts, never to be heard from again, pondered the hulking brute.
Let us flee before we are also caught within Agathim's ghastly clutches. The exit from this tunnel cannot be very far from here, said Carthena with a slight sob to her voice, as she sagged in Grignr's encompassing embrace.
Aye, it will be best to be finished with this corridor as soon as it is possible. But why do you flinch from the sight of death so? Rift, you have seen much death this day without exhibiting such emotions, exclaimed Grignr as he led her trembling form along the dingy confines. The man hanging from the wall was Doyanta. He had committed the folly of showing affections for me in front of Agathim. He never meant any harm by his actions. At this, Carthena broke into a slow, steady whimpering, chocking her voice with gasping sobs. There was never anything between us, yet Agathim did this to him, the beast! May the demons of hell's deepest haunts claw away at his wretched flesh for this merciless act, she prayed. Yo, what the fuck are mommy milkers? I'm a visual learner, by the way. I detect that you felt more for this fellow than you wished to let on. But enough of this. We can talk of such matters after we are once more free to do so.
With this, Grignr lifted the grieved female to her feet and strode onward down the corridor, supporting the bulk of her weight with his surging left arm. Presently, a dim light was perceptibly filtering into the tunnel, casting a dim reddish hue upon the mouldy wall of the passage's grim confines. Carthena had ceased her whimpering and partially regained her composure. The tunnel's end must be nearing. Rays of sunlight are beginning to seep into... Grignr clameed his right hand over Carthena's mouth, and with a slight struggle pulled her over to the shadows at the right-hand wall of the path, while at the same time thrusting this torch beneath an overhanging stone to smother its flickering rays.
Be silent. I can hear footfalls approaching through the tunnel, growled Grignr in a hushed tone.
All that you hear are the horses coddled at the far end of the tunnel. That is a further sign that we are nearing our goal, she stated.
All that you hear is less than I hear. I heard footsteps coming towards us. Silence yourself, that we may find out whom we are being brought into contact with. I doubt that any would have thought as yet of searching this passage for us. The advantage of surprise will be upon our side,
Grignr warned. Who said I never cosplayed? I never said I never cosplayed. Yeah, I never said I never cosplayed. Yes, I did cosplay actually. It just wasn't really that good. It was like a thing, a spur of the moment thing. I cosplayed Hotline Miami characters. I was the bear, and Vorpal Soul was the panther, and he actually made the mask. He actually made a panther mask. I just bought a bear mask. That's it. And we used like some kind of impromptu armor, and we used Nerf guns instead of like models or something. So that's it. That's all. And some fake blood. So, okay. Did I get? Oh, shit. I got a message. Wait. 1 sec. Ooh, I need to check this later. Okay. I'm not trying to tell anything. I'm just saying that the bear mask was cheap and available. That's it. But technically I am a bear in that sense, so, you know. All right. You can't be serious, Almeida. Do you want to get banned? Fuck, why did you make me laugh? Shit. You intentionally did that, right? Okay. Carthena cast her eyes downward and ceased any further pursuit towards conversation. An irritating habit in which she could gain an amazing proficiency? Two figures came into the pair's view from around a turn in the tunnel. They were clothed in rich, luxuriant silks and rambling on in conversation, while ignorant of their crouching foes waiting in an ambush ahead. That barbarian dog is cringing beneath the weight of the lash at this very moment, sire. He shall cause no more disturbance. Aye, and so it is with any who dare to cross the path of Sargon's chosen one, said the second man. But the peasants are showing signs of growing unrest. They complain that they cannot feed their families while burdened with your taxes. That's an image. Ban Almeida for 1 minute. Do it. Do it. Where did I stop? Okay. I shall teach those sluts the meaning of humility. Order an immediate increase upon their taxes. They dare to question my sovereign authority. Ha! They shall soon learn what true oppression can be. I will... A shadowed bulk leapt from behind a jutting promontory as it brought down a double-edged axe with the sped of a striking thought. One of the nobles sagged lifeless to the ground, skull split to the teeth. Okay, the music stopped, and since we're in an action sequence, I'm gonna put in Final Fantasy 12. Do you have like combat music? Let me see. No, actually, wait. Let's go with Ivali's combat music. Let's just go with this, I guess. There's like a lot of stuff here. give me some kind of battle. Oh, okay. This'll do. Yeah, okay. Grignr gasped as he observed the bisected face set in its leering death agonies. It was Agafnd. The dead man's comrade, having recovered from his shock, drew a jewel-encrusted dagger from beneath the folds of his robe and lunged toward the barbarian's back. Grignr spun at the sound from behind and smashed down his crimsoned axe once more. His antagonist lunged, howling, to a stream of stagnant green water, grasping a spouting stump that had once been a wrist. Grignr raised his axe over his head and prepared to finish the incomplete job, but was deterred halfway through his lunge by a frenzied screech from behind. Carthena leapt to the head of the writhing figure, plunging a smoldering torch into the agonized face. The howls increased in their horrid intensity, stifled by the sizzling of roasting flesh, then died down until the man was reduced to a blubbering mass of squirming, insensate flesh. Grignr advanced to Carthena's side, wincing slightly from the putrid aroma of charred flesh that rose in a puff of thick white smoke throughout the chamber. Carthena reeled slightly, staring dazedly downward at her gruesome handiwork. "I had to do it. It was Agafim. I had to," she exclaimed. "Sargon should be more careful of his right-hand men," added Grignr, a smug grin upon his lips. "But to hell with Sargon for now. The stench is becoming bothersome to me." With that, Grignr grasped Carthena around the waist, leading her around the bend in the cave and into the open. A ball of feral red was rising through the mists of the eastern horizon, dissipating the slinking shadows of the night. A corral stood before the pair, enclosing two grazing mares. Grignr reached into a weighted-down leather pouch dangling at his side and drew forth the scintillant red emerald he had obtained from the bloated idol. Raising it toward the sun, he said, "We shall do well with bauble, eh?" My parents are probably with their friends. Probably a house call. Okay. Carthena gaped at the gem, gasping in a terrified manner. "The Eye of Argon! Oh, Kala!" At this, the gem gave off a blinding glow, then dribbled through Grignr's fingers in a slimy red ooze. Grignr stepped back, pushing Carthena behind him. The droplets of slime slowly converged into a pulsating jelly-like mass. A single opening transfixed the blob, forming into a leech-like maw. Then the hideous transgressor of nature flowed towards Grignr, a trail of greenish slime lingering behind it. The single gap puckered repeatedly, emitting a ghastly, sucking sound. Grignr spread his legs into a battle stance, steeling his quivering thews for a battle royal with a thing he knew not how to fight. Carthena wound her arms about her protector's neck, mumbling, "Kill it! Kill!" while her entire body trembled. The thing was almost upon Grignr when he buried his axe into the gristly maw. It passed through the blob and clanged upon the ground. Grignr drew his axe back with a film of yellow-green slime clinging to the blade. The thing was seemingly unaffected. Then it started to sluice up his leg. The hairs upon his nape stood there on end from the slimy feel of the thing's bewly bulk. The nauto sucking sound became louder, and Grignr felt the blood being drawn from his body. With each hiss of hideous pucker, the thing increased in size. I really, really do not like the sexual undertones here. It's really fucking bad. Grignr spread his legs into a battle stance, undoing his pants in the process. Grignr shook his foot about madly in an attempt to dislodge the blob, but it clung like a leech, still feeding upon his rapidly draining life fluid. He grasped with his hands, trying to rip it off, but only found his hands entangled in a sickly, glue-like substance. The slimy thing continued its puckering, now having grown the size of Grignr's leg from its vampiric feast. Grignr began to reel and stagger under the blob, his chalk-white face and faltering muscles attesting to the gigantic loss of blood. Carthena slipped from Grignr in a death-like faint, a morrow chilling scream upon her red rubish lips. In final desperation, Grignr grasped the smouldering torch upon the ground and plunged it into the reeking maw of the travestry. A shudder passed through the thing. Grignr felt the blackness closing upon his eyes, but held on with the last ebb of his rapidly waning vitality. He could feel its grip lessening as a hideous gurgling sound erupted from the writhing maw. The jelly-like mass began to bubble like a vat of boiling tar as quavers passed up and down its entire form. Oh, empty page, holy shit. With a sloshing plop, the thing fell to the ground, evaporating in a thick scarlet cloud until it reattained its original size. It remained thus for a moment as the puckered maw took the shape of a protruding red eyeball, the pupil of which seemed to unravel before it the tale of creation. How a shapeless mass slithered from the quagmires of the stigmatic pool of time, only to degenerate into a leprosy of avaricious lust. In that fleeting moment, the grim mystery of life was revealed before Grignr's ensnared gaze. The eyeball's glare turned to a sudden plea of mercy, a plea for the whole of humanity. Then the blob began to quiver with violent convulsions. The eyeball shattered into 1,000 tiny fragments and evaporated in a curling wisp of scarlet mist. The very ground below the thing began to vibrate and swallow it up with a belch. The thing was gone forever. All that remained was a dark red blotch upon the face of the earth, blotching things up. Ooh. Shaking his head, his shaggy mane to clear the jumbled fragments of his mind, Grignr tossed the limp female over his shoulder, mounting one of the disgruntled mares and leading the other. The weary, scarred barbarian trooted slowly off into the horizon to become a tiny pinpoint in a filtered field of swirling blue mists, leaving the nobles, soldiers, and peasants to replace the missing monarch. Long live the king! By Jim Thies, winner of the J.T. Rykosh Award for Excellence. I am finishing this beer. I think I need it. It's done. It is done. Long live the king. What happens? That's a very good question. So he was killing someone. So Grignr killed someone. He went into a tavern. He touched Booba. And then he was caught by the guards in the tavern. He was brought to the Lord. So because he touched the girl, he was brought to the Lord, meant to be punished. He was attacked by a rat. At the same time, the priests were trying to sacrifice her. He escaped the cell. He saw her. He killed the priests. She let him out. He grabbed the gem at the same time. They killed the prince in like... They killed the prince in one paragraph, which is insane. And then they the sun activates the gem that spawns a blob, and he attacks the blob, and the blob dies because he had thoughts and prayers? And that's it? Did I summarize that correctly? I think I did. That was something. I mean, it's horrible. It's badly written. I honestly expected more. It's still pretty good to read as a fun time. I do like the illustrations though. They are very on point. Definitely. I know there is an entire subgenre of that. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. And no, I will not read gay erotica light novels. This was gay enough.